Good morning, everybody. First off, let me introduce myself. My name is Greg Hecht. I'm the Assistant Principal for Academics. And in this segment, we're going to show you how to kind of fill out the course request form, go through the curriculum guide that many of you probably received in the mail with your packet. Hopefully all of you received in the mail. Going to refer to the frequently asked questions form. So hopefully everybody's got that. It looks like this here. It's a goldenrod form. And to start, we're going to kind of lean in with the urgent update form. I want everybody to refer to that. And quite often the stuff that I mentioned in my discussion today will be found in all of these documents. That urgent update form is important. It tells you basically what you're doing now in terms of seeing all of this virtually. In order to process all of the course requests for your incoming Saintsmen, we ultimately will need the course request form back. I know these are trying times. I know there's a great deal of uncertainty. So we ask at the end of this video, you watch this, and of course refer to these forms. And once you're done filling out the form, we ask that you keep the yellow copy, the back end. You can tear it off. And then we ask that you drop off or mail in the white portion of the form so we can then enter your course requests into the system and generate a schedule for you in a timely fashion. We know there are challenges to doing this. So if you're unable to come to St. Augustine High School, please by all means put it in the mail. We don't want to put anybody in jeopardy by having to be here if that's not something you're comfortable doing. If you are able to drop off the form, please do so to the main office. We will have a drop box for you. And this is probably the most important thing. We ask that you accomplish this by the end of the day next Monday, if at all possible. So either put it in the mail over the next few days or go ahead and drop it off at the high school no later than next Monday. First and foremost, the course request form. You will notice as you look at your form, it should have your son's name across the top printed. And you'll notice for freshmen here at Saints, everybody, that means all the freshmen, take faith survey and church sacrament. So in that very first portion down there, kind of midway through the form, you'll see next to the religion department, that's already typed in. That is one of the 6 classes you'll take at St. Augustine High School. To that point, you will have 6 classes in a school day, starting at 7:45 and going to 2 most days. If you're interested in band, or what we call a 0-block class, then in essence you would have 7 blocks in the day because that class begins the 6:30 hour. Okay, so those interested in band, you're going to want to put that on this form, but know that you'll need 6 classes then during the regular school day. You then would have a total of 7. For most students, it'll be a 6-block schedule. So to that religion, that's already been filled in for you. Moving down into English, based on the testing, recommendations, and consultation with our staff here internally, you have been designated as Honors English or English 1A. The demarcation for selection into honors is laid out in the curriculum guide, and you can see that there. It is really the 90th percentile or higher in the local percentile on your testing in 2 distinct categories on the HSPT. Okay? That is part of the equation in addition to your grades and other things in terms of your application review. So if it has been selected that you're in honors, you'll be in Honors English. If you have selected English 1A, you'll be in English 1A. That has been predetermined. I want to hold off on mathematics for just a minute. We'll come back to that here at the end. Physical education. On your form, everybody takes a year of physical education. Many of you are interested in playing football in the fall. That meets Block 6. So if you are interested in playing freshman football, please be sure to select fall and check frosh football. The rest of you, if you are not interested in playing frosh football, would simply select fall and then select PE. You'll see that right there. You'll see down there. You'll see it says fall PE or fall frosh football. So you can select the appropriate one. Then in the spring, which we'll get to later, everybody will transition to a regular PE class in the spring. We can talk about that once you get here to St. Augustine High School. To round out your schedule, some of you, many of you will begin your social studies. That's world history. Okay, so many of you will likely do world history. Some of you may want to take summer school at Saints prior to you getting here in the traditional school year. Many of our incoming freshmen do opt to take world history in the summer prior to their arrival. That does open up the schedule a little bit for you in the fall, and if that's something you want to do, summer school is run through Mr. John O'Byrne. You guys can go to the Saints website and look at the summer school options and select world history there if that's something you want to do in the summer. If not, you go ahead and put world history down there under social studies for many of you. If you have been selected to be in our shepherding program, or you're coming to St. Augustine on a provisional admit based on academics, you would not, in the next slot, you will not be taking a world language your freshman year. That will be deferred until your sophomore year. For the rest, you can select this freshman year from Spanish, French, or Latin. All of that would be in the 1 series. If you are a native Spanish speaker, you must select Latin or French. There will be options later on in your career at St. Augustine High School to transition to AP Spanish after you've taken 2 years of the same language of Latin or French. Finally, there's a visual and performing arts category there. Many of you may want to round out your schedule with a visual and performing art. There are grade level appropriate selections for you, and we indicate that on the goldenrod sheet. Okay, here. There are a few classes that we've already gone through and selected our students for next year in terms of their course requests, so sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And as a result, Art 1 and Graphic Design, those classes are closed. But if you refer to the curriculum guide, you can see in the Visual and Performing Arts section, forgive me, I'll just go ahead and reference that part. If you go to Visual and Performing Arts, you can see the classes that are available to you by grade level. Do not, and this goes for all your class selections, do not select a course that is not open to freshmen. You will see that right underneath each course description as to which grade level they're open to. So, for example, AP Studio Art would not be something that a freshman would select. However, a guitar class, theater arts, technical theater, those classes are available to you. And again, the Art 1 and Graphic Design classes are closed. Many of you have inquired about a science class, starting science here at St. Augustine High School. For us here at Saints in the freshman year, if you scored in the 95th percentile or higher, that is the local percentile again, you can select to begin your biology. You would start in biology. You can put that down there. Okay? That might be filled in for you already if that's an interest to you. If it hasn't been filled in and you are at the 95th percentile local, you can go ahead and fill that in as an option for your freshman year. And once again, you should have a total of 6 classes in your freshman year during the regular school day. So for instance, if you you'll have a religion class, you'll have an English class, you'll have a math, and you'll have PE. That essentially leaves you 2 classes to choose from, either that social studies, world language, visual performing arts, or science. So you would select 2 from that 4 based on your qualifications. So for example, some of you might be putting down the world history, and if you scored that 95th in the local percentile, you can go ahead and put biology down there, the science, and that would be your load for the freshman year. Then you would perhaps start your language in the sophomore year. You see how that works, and vice versa for the classes that you don't begin freshman year, you defer and start in your sophomore year, and hopefully that makes sense. You'll see at the bottom of the form, speech has already been filled in. That is during our intersession time. All freshmen at St. Augustine High School will take speech. Let me jump back now to the math because this is where people have the most questions. If you refer to the goldenrod sheet again, you can see the description of our math placement process here at St. Augustine High School. It's also clearly articulated on the form itself in terms of how we go about placing people into the appropriate math class. As you might appreciate, here at St. Augustine High School, we receive students from well over 40 different elementary schools, not only in San Diego County, but really across California and the country. That being said, we want to make sure that your student is adequately prepared to be successful here in math. Our philosophy here at Saints is quite clear. We want to get placement right. We're not trying to rush anybody through something, and we're also not trying to hold anybody back. Every year at St. Augustine High School, there's an opportunity to accelerate to the next grade level if that's a concern of yours, based on performance. But we all know that success in the higher level mathematics is dictated by success in Algebra 1. Therefore, we spend a good deal of our time making sure that your son is appropriately placed so he can be successful in math for 4 years at St. Augustine High School. So that is our philosophy, and that's what drives us. As a result of that, we ask that, and you'll see this on your form, you either had pre-algebra or algebra pre-checked on your form. And if you have pre-algebra checked, you will go to pre-algebra. If you have algebra 1 checked, you are designated for algebra 1. However, you can challenge to go into a higher mathematics. We do that through our algebra proficiency exam. That is currently scheduled for Saturday, May 2nd here at St. Augustine High School. And that's listed again on the goldenrod form here, and you'll see that also on your course selection form. However, given the unique circumstances we face, this is a fluid environment where that is subject to change. What we are going to do is allow all of those students who had Algebra 1 selected to sit for the Algebra Proficiency exam in May if that is something you would like to do. However, given, as I said, the nature of the environment we find ourselves in, that test date and process is subject to change. So it's really important you check your portal. All the information we're putting out regarding this exam, and there'll be additional information to follow in the weeks ahead, you're going to want to stay in touch with the portal. We will communicate with you via that portal as to how we're going to proceed with sign-ups and testing, and should there be any changes. So once again, I want to stress, with respect to your math placement and that algebra proficiency exam in May, we are tentatively scheduled for that May 2nd date, so you can tentatively reserve that date, but we would like you to continue to check your portal, and following this taping, there will be subsequent information put out on your portal as to how we're going to handle sign-ups and any augmentation to that scheduled exam, should there be any, given the nature of what we find ourselves in. So I hope that that has answered your questions on the course requests. Please reference too, there is quite a bit of information found in the curriculum guide. Again, it's really important to take a look at, as you look through the guide, the classes, the grade levels that things are open to. Please do not put down a class, like I said, that is open only to juniors and seniors. So look at the guide, refer to the forms and the frequently asked questions document. I think we did quite a bit of work on both of these here so that you can have all of your questions answered. Very, very important. If for some reason you do not find a question that you have answered in this segment, and again, it's highly possible that you did have a question that didn't get answered, you can email the counseling staff. You're going to meet Mr. Bronson, the freshman counselor, in a subsequent video, and we ask that you work with our counseling staff on any subsequent questions you have. And I thank you again for your time and paying attention to the course requests. In conclusion, as we look at this academic segment, a couple things to keep in mind. One, St. Augustine is a rigorous collegiate prep environment, no question. But we're also looking at the whole individual. So things such as nutrition, sleep, how you approach life in general in terms of stress, organization, those things are very, very important to us here. So we want to strike the appropriate balance while still challenging you to be the best that you can academically. We understand the stressors that are at home right now and in your school and in the larger community. So we don't want to make that worse. We actually want to give you coping mechanisms here at Saints in terms of dealing with all of that, at the same time growing you as a person of faith and a person of high academic standards. So Mr. Bronson will come on later, talk a little bit more about some of those issues. And I also want to point out, if you are a student that has an IEP or 504, many of you have already communicated with us in terms of that information. We need current documentation. Many of you have uploaded that through the portal, and that's wonderful, and we thank you for that. If you have additional information, and Mr. Bronson, I guess, will touch on this, but please make sure that you're in touch with Mr. Sipper or Mr. Bronson in terms of that documentation, so we have it and we're ready to go for the fall, and we can talk a little bit more at that point then about accommodations moving forward. Final comment, if you were selected to go to the math skills and English skills class in the summer, I cannot stress enough how important those classes are. 2 reasons. One, they get you acclimated to St. Augustine High School, and they give you a sense in kind of an eased-in way as to how our classes will go here at Saints. Also, we'll give you a heads up on organization and kind of general life skills in that regard, how to be successful here at Saints. So please make sure that if you were selected to go to the math skills, and the English skills class, that you make sure you take care of those signups as soon as possible as well. Thank you for your time. Always keep in mind it's a great day to be a Saintsman. We look forward to seeing you here in the fall. Have a safe, happy, and most importantly, healthy rest of your 8th grade year. Thank you very much.